The year before the Grammys, 50 Cent didn't win any Grammys. I went on TV the next day and I said, you all robbed 50 Cent of his Grammy. He was the most important thing. He was the soundtrack to our life in 2003. Now, when it was my turn, I was just being an advocate for what was the best out there, which just so happened to be me.
The platform that you're on, it says the first thing they say to you when you go to media training is stay away from politics and stay away from religion. You see what it did to Kanye? Politics.
As Diddy faces a storm of allegations, names are being whispered on. Kanye's is one of them. From disturbing parties to shocking court testimonies, and now 50 Cent is calling them out publicly. What really happened behind closed doors? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change everything you thought you knew about Kanye, Bianca, and the dark side of the music industry. 50 Cent calls out Kanye West and Bianca Censori amidst Diddy controversy. 50 Cent has reignited his long-standing feud with Kanye West, this time turning his attention to both Kanye and his wife, Bianca Censori, in a heated commentary that ties them to the ongoing scandal surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. The rapper didn't hold back, mocking Bianca as Kanye's dirty little wife and alleging that the couple were involved in Diddy's infamous freak-off gatherings, accusation that has since sparked serious concern for the couple's mental health. Reports claim Kanye and Bianca checked into a luxury wellness facility in Spain, where treatment can cost as much as $170,000 per week. 50 Cent has never been one to hold back, and his recent stance on the ongoing Diddy scandal is no exception. In a series of pointed social media posts and interviews, the rapper-turned-mogul has made it absolutely clear, anyone still aligned with Sean Diddy Combs is, in his eyes, complicit. That includes former friend and frequent collaborator Kanye West. As the walls continue to close in on Diddy amid mounting allegations of sexual misconduct, trafficking, and abuse, 50 Cent has taken a hard line, publicly distancing himself from the bad boy founder and expressing visible disdain for those who remain silent or, worse, offer public support. For 50, this isn't just a media scandal, it's a moral stand. This ain't no rumor mill *T, he said in a now viral video. This man got real victims, real lawsuits, and if you still standing next to him, you telling the world what side you on. The tone was unflinching, and while he didn't name names immediately, it wasn't long before Kanye West was in the crosshairs. Kanye has repeatedly defended Diddy despite the legal avalanche crashing down around him, suggesting that Diddy is the target of a coordinated effort by shadowy elites to dismantle powerful black figures in entertainment. At first, Kanye's comments were dismissed by many as another headline-grabbing outburst, part of a long pattern of unpredictable behavior. But this time, the public isn't brushing it off so easily. His continued defense of Diddy, even in the face of disturbing allegations and lawsuits filed by multiple alleged victims, has raised eyebrows and led to difficult questions about his motives and his past. Kanye has claimed that the media, corporations, and the government are conspiring to take down Diddy as part of a broader agenda. They come for the ones they can't control, he said in a recent podcast appearance. They tried it with me, now they're coming for Puff. But critics argue that his loyalty seems less about solidarity and more about shared secrets. If you know, you know, one music insider cryptically commented on social media, and the knows. Speculation about the true nature of Kanye and Diddy's relationship has only intensified, though they've had a publicly rocky dynamic over the years. Insiders say the two maintained private communication and may have been involved in more than just musical collaboration. Some claim their association stretches back to the early 2000s, including closed-door industry parties and exclusive events rumored to be less about business and more about power dynamics and control. While no concrete evidence has surfaced tying Kanye to the specific allegations against Diddy, the growing unease among fans and industry veterans alike is palpable. What's particularly troubling to many is the timing. As Diddy faces multiple lawsuits involving serious accusations ranging from sexual assault to human trafficking, Kanye appears to be among the few high-profile artists willing to publicly back him. Others, including longtime associates like French Montana, DJ Khaled, and even Usher, have gone noticeably quiet, distancing themselves either subtly or deliberately. Some have unfollowed Diddy on social media. Others have avoided even mentioning his name. The silence is deafening, and it makes Kanye's vocal support all the more conspicuous. For 50 Cent, the situation is clear-cut. You protect predators, you become one by association. He wrote in a recent Instagram story, accompanied by a screenshot of Kanye and Diddy from a past collaboration. "I don't care how big your brand is, what you think you know, or who you think you're fighting against, if you still stand in with Puff, you not stand in with the victims." It was a statement that hit hard and made its way across hip-hop media platforms with lightning speed. 50 has even hinted that he's aware of more than what's currently public. "What y'all see in the news, that's just the surface," he teased in a live stream. "There's way more that ain't come out yet. And some people praying it never does." Whether this is posturing or a warning remains unclear, but the implication is chilling. This may just be the beginning. Kanye, on the other hand, seems unfazed by the backlash. In fact, he appears to be leaning into the controversy, doubling down on his conspiracy-laced defenses and portraying himself as a truth-teller in a world full of sellouts and cowards. "Y'all trust the same media that told you I was crazy," he said in a now-deleted post. "Don't fall for the trap. Puff ain't perfect, but he ain't what they're painting him as." To Kanye's dwindling circle of loyalists, he's a visionary who sees the bigger picture. But to most, his refusal to condemn Diddy has become indefensible, especially given the gravity of the accusations. Support for Kanye has waned in recent years due to a string of controversial remarks, alliances, and erratic behavior, but this latest chapter may be the most damaging, yet not just to his reputation, but to his legacy. As investigations into Diddy continue and more victims come forward, the public eye will likely stay trained on those who continue to defend him. And with 50 Cent leading the charge in demanding accountability, it's clear that the days of industry silence are coming to an end. Whether Kanye will finally reconsider his stance, or whether more will be revealed about the depth of his connection to Diddy remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the lines have been drawn, and 50 has chosen his side. The controversy intensified when Kanye and Bianca appeared at one of Diddy's court hearings. Although they were initially denied entry due to procedural issues, Kanye returned the next date, this time without Bianca. Notably, he wore an all-white outfit, which many interpreted as a nod to Diddy's notoriously exclusive all-white parties. But despite his vocal support, Kanye reportedly lasted less than 30 minutes in the courtroom. According to eyewitnesses, he appeared visibly disturbed by the proceedings and abruptly left, suggesting he may have been unprepared for the reality of what was being presented. 50 Cent, never one to miss a chance to publicly speak his mind, took to social media to ridicule Kanye's appearance at the trial. He shared an AI-generated image of himself in white, sarcastically captioning it with references to the so-called freak-off parties and jabbing at Kanye for not bringing Bianca along in her Grammy outfit. Their animosity is nothing new. 50 Cent and Kanye have clashed publicly since 2007. And this episode is just another chapter in their complicated history. 50 also revived a particularly disturbing moment from Kanye's past, referencing a tweet in which Kanye wrote about troubling behavior during his childhood. Rather than respond with empathy, 50 mocked him online, further fueling the controversy. He posted another AI-generated image and sarcastically questioned Kanye's sexuality, referencing Kanye's own disturbing admission about inappropriate behavior with a family member during his youth. While some fans criticized 50 for making jokes about deeply personal and traumatic experiences, others felt Kanye's unwavering support for Diddy left him open to scrutiny. After all, Kanye had recently called on Donald Trump to help free Diddy, publicly shaming other celebrities for staying silent and even attempting to raise funds through his clothing line to support Diddy, only to be told Diddy could not accept donations while incarcerated. As Kanye's aggressive support raised eyebrows, internet sleuths began to question his motives. Many speculated he was trying to protect himself, fearing that Diddy's downfall might implicate him as well. Soon, allegations began to surface, suggesting Kanye might have been more involved than he let on. One of the most damning claims came from his former assistant, Lauren Pisciata, who accused both Kanye and Diddy of sexually assaulting her during a recording session. According to Lauren, she was invited to the studio but quickly became disoriented after consuming a spiked drink. She struggled to recall events clearly, but suspected something serious had occurred. Her fears were later confirmed when Kanye allegedly made a casual remark about hooking up with her that night. Multiple women accused Kanye West and Diddy of sexual assault in escalating allegations. What began as a quiet accusation has erupted into a disturbing storm of allegations, shedding light on what may be a dark and long-standing pattern of abuse, involving two of the music industry's most powerful and controversial figures, Kanye West and Sean Diddy Combs. At the heart of this unfolding controversy is Lauren Pisciata, a former assistant to Kanye West, whose brave decision to come forward with her story has not only put a spotlight on her personal trauma, but has also empowered other women to speak out with their own harrowing accounts. Lauren first came into the public eye as a member of Kanye's inner circle, part of a tight-knit team that traveled with him, coordinated logistics, and operated behind the scenes of his chaotic public persona. For years, she remained silent about her experience, unsure of how to process what had happened between her and the man she once admired. Initially, she thought it had been a confusing but consensual unexpected encounter that blurred the lines between professional boundaries and personal vulnerabilities. But as time passed, and as she began to revisit the details with more clarity and emotional distance, her understanding began to shift. It wasn't just the physical experience that haunted her, but the manipulation surrounding it. Kanye, she claimed, had used his power, influence, and psychological tactics to blur the truth. "It didn't feel wrong at first," Lauren said in a recent interview, "because he made me believe I wanted it. He talked like it was mutual. But looking back, it was all smoke and mirrors. I didn't have a choice, I just didn't know it yet." Her realization came slowly, triggered by Kanye's own public statements, which often contradicted her memory of events and minimized her experience. The more he spoke about consent, loyalty, and truth in interviews and social media posts, the more gaslit she began to feel. When Lauren finally came forward with her story, she expected disbelief, ridicule, and backlash, especially given the fiercely loyal and often combative fan base surrounding Kanye. What she didn't expect was the flood of messages from other women with eerily similar stories. "You're not alone," one message read. Another, "I thought I was the only one." As days passed, Lauren's accusations seemed to open a floodgate. One by one, more women began to come forward, not just with allegations against Kanye but also against Diddy, another longtime titan of the music industry, who is currently facing a wave of lawsuits and public scrutiny. The stories varied in detail, but they shared a chilling pattern: manipulation, exploitation, coercion, and silence. Many of these women described being young, impressionable, and professionally ambitious, traits that made them particularly vulnerable to men in positions of extreme power. Some reported being invited to private parties that quickly turned uncomfortable. Others recounted scenarios in which consent was assumed rather than asked for, and refusal wasn't considered an option. One woman, who asked to remain anonymous, said she was flown out to a studio session by a member of Kanye's team under the guise of creative collaboration, only to find herself isolated and pressured into a situation she didn't feel safe. As more allegations emerged, disturbing intersections began to appear between Kanye and Diddy's alleged behaviors. Several women claimed the two men operated within similar circles and sometimes overlapped in the environments they created, hyper-controlled spaces where accountability was non-existent and silence was expected. These spaces, they said, were designed to shield powerful men from consequences while rendering their victims voiceless. Though no one has yet accused the two of jointly orchestrating abuse, the overlapping accounts suggest a shared culture of entitlement and exploitation. The public reaction has been deeply divided. While some fans remain in denial, rushing to defend their idols with hashtags and conspiracy theories, others are beginning to reevaluate their admiration. Critics argue that these are not isolated incidents, but the result of a decades-long industry culture that protects predators and silences victims, especially women who lack the fame or resources to fight back. In Lauren's case, her voice has become a catalyst, not just for a wave of disclosures, but for a broader reckoning. Advocacy groups have begun amplifying the women's stories, demanding investigations, and calling for legal accountability. Meanwhile, legal experts say more lawsuits may be on the horizon as additional victims find the courage to speak. Civil rights attorneys and women's rights organizations have also signaled interest in pursuing broader actions to ensure systemic reform in the entertainment industry. Lauren, for her part, is still grappling with the emotional fallout of coming forward. "It's freeing and terrifying at the same time," she said. "I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know this: I'm not going to be quiet anymore." What's becoming increasingly evident is that this is not just about individual allegations. It's about the culture that enabled them, the unchecked power, the blurred lines, the cult of personality that protected celebrities while exposing those around them to harm. And as more women step into the light, it's clear that the time for silence is over. Whether Kanye or Diddy will face legal consequences remains to be seen. but the tide is shifting. Public tolerance for abuse disguised as genius, or manipulation, masquerading as mentorship, is rapidly eroding. What was once whispered in private is now being shouted from rooftops. And the music industry may never be the same again. Shortly after Lauren's account went public, a model named Jennifer Ann came forward with her own story, alleging that she was assaulted by Kanye during the filming of a music video. Jennifer described an experience that turned violent in front of several people on set. According to her, Kanye originally a featured artist in the project took control of the production and directed the female models, including her two-line, up in a hallway. Wearing lingerie and already uncomfortable, Jennifer said she was then told to sit in a chair directly in front of the camera. Kanye stood over her and, without warning, began choking her. She recalled being strangled with both hands, her makeup smeared by his palms, and her mouth forcibly penetrated by his fingers. She reported feeling as though she had temporarily blacked out, and her face was left covered in saliva and makeup. By the end of the assault, another woman, singer Nikki Heaton, also shared a disturbing encounter, this time involving both Kanye and Diddy. Nikki stated that she had been invited to a studio session with the two artists, only to find herself trapped. She claimed that once the men realized she was the only woman present, they locked the doors and took turns assaulting her. In an emotional recounting, Nikki described the setting: dim lighting, music playing softly, and a casual offering of drinks upon entry. Both Kanye and Diddy handed beverages to her and Lauren, raising immediate red flags. Nikki said she pretended to drink hers, suspecting it had been tampered with. Her suspicions grew when Kanye questioned her about who she was texting and then physically took her phone away, placing it out of reach. She described feeling helpless as her manager, unaware of the danger, took a few sips of the drink herself. Nikki realized she was alone in the room with several men: Kanye, Diddy, and 3 others, including an executive, an engineer, and Kanye's cousin. Tension escalated when the men began pressuring her to remove her clothes under the pretense that it was just friends hanging out. Despite her discomfort and resistance, the pressure continued, turning into physical attempts to undress her. She said she looked around the room for someone to intervene, but no one helped. These deeply troubling stories are still under public scrutiny, and no legal conclusions have been reached at this time. However, the testimonies share common patterns: alleged use of influence, power, and controlled environments to trap and harm women. As these cases unfold, they reflect broader conversations about accountability in the entertainment industry and how survivors can safely come forward. The courage of those sharing their experiences has ignited a larger call for justice, transparency, and the protection of vulnerable individuals in spaces where fame and power too often override consent and safety. More allegations link Kanye and Bianca to Diddy's inner circle, and the internet is buzzing as the scandal surrounding Sean Diddy Combs deepens. More disturbing claims are surfacing, this time potentially implicating Kanye West and his wife, Bianca Censori. A recent court testimony by a woman referred to as Jane Doe added another layer to the ongoing investigation, recounting a shocking incident that allegedly took place while she and Diddy were on a break. Jane testified that during a trip to Las Vegas, she attended a birthday celebration hosted by a famous rapper and his wife. Though she didn't name the couple, many believe she was referring to Kanye and Bianca. The woman described the evening as one that transitioned from a dinner into a highly inappropriate gathering in a hotel suite, one that involved voyeurism, hired escorts, and explicit acts carried out in front of a group of onlookers. According to Jane, she was accompanied by another rapper identified only as Bear, widely speculated to be Rick Ross, who has also been loosely linked to the so-called freak-off events. Once inside the suite, she claimed there were 7 to 8 individuals present, simply watching as the events unfolded. One of the escorts allegedly hired for the night, whom Jane recognized from a previous encounter, was also present. Things escalated quickly, and at one point, the host, the unnamed rapper, reportedly approached Jane and told her, "I think you're very beautiful. I've always wanted to be with you." Context clues have led many to speculate that this event took place on Bianca Censori's birthday, which notably is in January. Adding fuel to that theory, Kanye and Bianca were publicly spotted celebrating her birthday in Las Vegas last year. The math, as the internet puts it, seems to add up. This added context has given many observers a new perspective on Kanye's unusually strong public defense of Diddy. Online theories suggest his loyalty may not stem from friendship alone, but possibly from some believe he's staying close to the fire to ensure he isn't burned. Next, 0.50 cent. Never one to shy away from calling people out, hasn't held back. He's continued to openly criticize Kanye and Bianca, particularly for their connections to Diddy and their alleged roles in these private gatherings. One online commenter put it bluntly, Kanye didn't show up to Diddy's trial to support him, he was there to watch his own back. Diddy filed to reveal the identities of those involved in the freak-off parties, and Kanye showed up to make sure he wasn't the next name dropped. Another person wrote, the only reason Kanye hasn't been publicly named yet is because of his fame and influence. But once that spotlight fades, they'll come back for him too. So now the question remains, how deep does Kanye's involvement go, and is 50 Cent simply trolling, or is he trying to expose something more sinister beneath the surface? Let us know what you think. Was Kanye just a vocal supporter of a friend in trouble, or was he much more entangled in Diddy's world than he's letting on?